This is Eric with Astrology for Awakening from Wisdom Heart. And in these talks, we look at the current astrological weather always as a spiritual invitation. What do the archetypes invite us into? How are they doorways or dharma gates that we can pass through to have a deeper revelation, a deeper integration? And this aspect, Jupiter conjunct Neptune, is particularly ripe for the Astrology for Awakening conversation, because both of these energies, both of these archetypes, Jupiter, the inner philosopher, the inner seeker, Neptune, the inner mystic, the inner contemplative, have so much of a natural affinity for the awakening journey. And every 12 or 13 years, they come together, they meet again. They meet again to have a profound conversation and a deeper revelation. And that's happening now. That is happening now in the sign of Pisces, which deepens, enriches, and expands the potential of this awakening conversation. Because Pisces is the sign of the zodiac, that stage of self-conscious awareness that is most associated with the mystical, with the deep ocean of being itself. And so they're in this meeting, Jupiter, the quester, the inner seeker that has been on this path of meaning, seeking for purpose, seeking for discovering the principles and the patterns that give coherence to life. It's been on this 12-year journey. And Neptune, the inner mystic, which has been sitting in Pisces, meditating in stillness and silence, has been on the path of contemplative communion, abiding in its own home in Pisces, in its natural habitat, the unchartable and uncharted mystery of existence. These two are coming together for a powerful and potentially life-transforming conversation. And they are inviting us into that conversation, because that is the conversation that's happening inside of each one of us individually and inside of our collective heart, that we can reawaken. We can reawaken in the depths of silence, and we can transcend our current models of the world, however beautiful they may be, to receive a new vision, a new revelation, a new understanding, even a new religion that reawakens us to the ineffable, to the universal, to the truth of being itself. That's the call right now. In the midst of all the turmoil and all the chaos and all the uncertainty, to find and to know there is a still place deep within where you can go, where I can go, where we can go, to receive the uncontrived, what is known in the ancient tales, water of life, the baptismal water of life, from which new life, new birth, new realities that are deeper, truer, more beautiful spring forth. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, representing the earthling consciousness on the spiritual path, is in this deep conversation with Krishna, the ever-present awakened divine one. And at one point, about a little more than halfway through their conversation, finally Arjuna says, "O Lord of mystic vision." This is speaking to the aspect of the Lord that is like Neptune, the mystical vision. "O Lord of mystic vision, reveal to me thy immortal and glorious omnic tree." Om, the seed syllable that has sprouted into the universe. Grant me the vision that I might see who you are to life and to me. That's what the seeker, the Jupiter, has a deep spiritual attunement, comes back now to Neptune and Pisces and says, I want a new vision. I am opening to the vision of who is this? What is this nature of life? What does it mean to us collectively? What does it mean to me collectively? Not just as a concept, but as an experiential communion, as an attunement to the primordial power that is giving rise to everything and that is present in everyone and in everything. This is the ideal moment to transcend our current vision of what life is all about, even our current vision of what the sacred means, and to enter into the deep, where what we currently know, what we currently believe, can be dissolved into what we don't know. The Gita says that this dissolving away brings instant liberation. It is a sovereign science, a holy equation. It's nearer than knowing, open and unobstructed vision, direct and holy premonition. It's not something we reason our way into. It's something we open ourselves unto. And that is the practice right now, to open very deeply and to willingly receive the infusion of inspiration, to willingly align with an ascent to the upwelling of devotion. There's a confluence of energies coming together in Pisces now that are asking us to take extra time for stillness, for not doing anything except opening and settling into the depths. Enter the ocean of being. Now, I live very close to the ocean in Encinitas, and sometimes there's lifeguard warnings on the beach. And there's a lifeguard warning on the beach of this Jupiter conjunct Neptune aspect. And the lifeguard warning says, do not drown your critical faculties, transcend them. Do not drown your capacity to discern, transcend that faculty. There's a difference between regressing, as Freud accurately saw. There can be a tendency among the religious and spiritual folks to regress back. It's like a horizontal movement in time, back to an infantile dependency. That's not what this aspect is an invitation for. It could be enacted that way. It could be enacted as spacing out, as drowning in our sorrows. But it's not what the invitation of awakening is for. It's not for a horizontal regression. It's for a vertical opening. The vertical movement is a returning to the primordial, uncontrived ocean of being, to that state of consciousness, that vast, uncharted consciousness that is preceding creation. When we open, when we return, when we dissolve into this vaster ocean of awareness, we are not, we're not released from our responsibilities to life. Quite the opposite. As we open to the vastness, we open and realize we have endless, infinite responsibilities to life itself, that we are the stewards, that we are the bodhisattvas. That's the bodhisattva vow from the Buddhist tradition. The bodhisattva vow says, beings are numberless. I vow to save them. This is the perfect Jupiter conjunct Neptune in Pisces commitment. It says delusions are inexhaustible. We probably know this personally. I vow to end them. Ending them means to be non-identified and to liberate that energy. Dharma gates are boundless. There are infinite, boundless invitations to awaken. I vow to enter them all. And the Buddha way, the awakening way, is unsurpassable. I vow to become it. Think of this: numberless, inexhaustible, boundless, and unsurpassable. All of this is unimaginable. We can't make a plan for this. We can't make a flow chart or a Gantt chart. We can't strategize, plan how to do this. Certainly we can't control our way into it. And that is one of the attributes, one of the reminders, one of the invitations of Jupiter conjunct Pisces, Jupiter conjunct Neptune and Pisces, is the illusion of control. It's time to truly release that and instead open ourselves to the vast impossibility of our profound commitment to life itself. We can live not by plan, but we can live by vow. We can vow to serve, to heal, to open, to awaken inwardly, outwardly, to above, below, to the left and to the right, front and back. We can be guided by a profound and deeply felt and absolutely intimate and still immeasurable commitment to say yes to the invitation of awakening and of blessing whatever is arising in the very place specifically that we find ourselves. So the seeker within, that quester, has been on this 12-year pilgrimage. And the part of our work now is to reflect. What are the spiritual lessons you've learned over these 12 years? It's time to curate those, to distill those. What have you learned in this 12-year wandering through the pathways of your life? Through your encounters with people, events, and things, through the highs and the lows. What are the precious truths that now you know? These are guiding principles. And here is the practice. We take these truths as gifts. That's the Jupiter part of us. We take what we've learned as gifts and we bring them to the mystical master within. We, like the old Zen story, we empty the cup. We empty ourselves of this wisdom, not to deny it, not to denigrate it, but to recognize that this is what I've learned in this 12-year cycle, and it's sacred. And now I am going to empty myself in order to receive dewdrops, waves of blessing, new revelations into my empty cup. One of the attributes of this meeting of our inner philosopher and of our inner mystic is to appreciate the sacred and the generative power of not knowing, of I don't know, to open fully to the ocean, to the radiance, with undefended curiosity, with humble willingness, and with a sacred sense of I don't know. Now, in the West, this is called entering the cloud of unknowing. That place in the contemplative journey, that stage in the contemplative journey where we are divested of all of our understandings, even our most sacred and sublime understandings. In the cloud of unknowing, they are all dissolved away. In the East, in the Sutras of Patanjali, it's the very definition of yoga, chitta vritti nirodha, the stilling of the patternings of the mind. Every patterning is a knowing. In the stilling, we enter into the unknowing, ever-present revelation of radiance, of the sacred ocean. And we see and we know that every experience, every being, every event, everything is a patterning that rises and falls, arises and dissolves away. Everything is a wave on the ocean. Everything is a wave on the ocean of being, and the waves, they rise and they fall. Our life, all lives, life itself, is the ocean that is endlessly re-emerging and dissolving, endlessly re-emerging and dissolving. And in that play, in that joyful self-expression, our role is to remember Aham Brahmasmi. I am the creative principle. I am that ocean, here and now arising. To remember it is a blessing. To remember it is to be blessed. And that is what Jupiter conjunct Neptune is inviting us to do, to remember the oceanic vastness, but not to drown, not to be lost in it, rather to return here and now to who and what you are, to your very situation, having been blessed, to become a blessing, to, in the way that you show up, be a reminder to all beings that they are the sacred itself.